If you're waiting until you feel ready, that's not preparing, that's procrastination. And that's our conversation today on the podcast. Let's jump in. BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to six figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Welcome. Glad that you are here waiting. What are we talking about? In building a business coaching practice, perhaps you've been thinking about it. Maybe you've been stuck in the 9 to 5. Maybe you've been let go. I know that's hard, but sometimes that happens. Maybe you own a business. You've been thinking about helping other people. But regardless of where you're at, you have this urging, calling, desire, dream, call it what you want. But you think, I'll wait till this moment. I'll wait till that's complete. I'll wait till I have all my, T's crossed and I's dotted. I think it's actually the other way around. I's dotted, T's crossed. You get the point. And the reality is, and I say this with, candor in just the hopes of motivating you where you are based upon how you feel, is that waiting actually isn't wisdom. It's disobedience. If you really feel motivated from a spiritual perspective as a Christ follower, man, I just have this urging in my spirit to want to help other people. And look, when we're doing that, we fall in disobedience because God has something in store for you. And not only does he have it in store for you, but he needs you to help other people. I mean, you think about it. If we weren't helping each other in a communal aspect, none of us grow. None of us get better. So God's not looking for the perfect. He's just looking for people that'll take a step. And you may say, I need to figure all this stuff out and whatever. I get that feeling, and I'm gonna encourage you in a couple of ways on how you can do that in developing and starting a profitable business coaching practice for you, but also one that aligns with your values and your faith, but also supports the health of increased in profitability, in leadership, in helping business owners create team culture. If they don't lean into someone like you who can potentially help them, then none of us get better. And that's what we do for clarity at Business Coach Mastery. We give you a complete and total done-for-you business coaching system that frees you up to spend all of that time building that relationship, to invest into other people. By the way, if you're curious about how that looks, what it looks like, you can go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com. There's some information that you can get. We've got a free resource and a video series that walks you through exactly what our process looks like, and that way you can determine if it's something that you'd like to learn more about or not. But in my experience, in my journey, in working with a lot of Christian professionals over the years, there's a lie that we tell ourselves. And it is, once I get everything lined up perfectly and I feel more confident, then I will start. And that's a lie. And the lie is, that is just this whole idea about feeling until I'm ready is nothing but fear that's just kind of disguised as preparation. We think that it's preparation when in reality it's procrastination. And even beyond that, it's really just fear, because we don't know the next steps. We don't know all these different things, and it keeps us stuck. And one big thing you got to ask your question right now, I'll use two different examples. This won't cover everybody listening and watching, but it'll cover a lot. One, you may have served well where you are, maybe in a corporate role. And it's not that you don't like it. You just feel like, hey, I've got more to give. I've got more to share. I know I can help other people. I just don't have a system to do it, but I know I can. And do you want to continue to build someone else's dream? Or are you ready to take a step of faith to move towards yours? And it doesn't mean it's going to be simple, by the way. I mean, would argue that when Noah built the ark, it wasn't simple, and it took years, many multiples of years, right? So nothing worth value is ever simple. There's a process to it. In that process, God refines us, builds us, breaks us, makes us better so that we can truly be used as a tool to advance the opportunity for growth. All right. But even think about, you may be thinking like, not only do I not feel like I have it all together, am I even qualified? Like, who's going to listen to me? And while, yes, in a professional setting, we got to make sure we're delivering correct value and content. That's, again, why we do that for you, so that you don't have to create all the resources and tools and content, so you don't have to worry about that. But you still may think that I'm not qualified. But look at the Bible. Lots of different characters that we could use as an example. We'll use Moses, right? Moses did not feel qualified. As a matter of fact, he makes a comment, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, depending upon the, the version that you read of your Bible. But he's basically saying, Lord, I'm not eloquent. I'm super slow to speech. I'm not gifted in communication. Send somebody else. Like, don't ask me to do it. Send someone else. He's essentially, again, I'm paraphrasing. This is not word for word. He is saying, I'm not ready. Sound familiar? I'm not a speaker. Sound familiar? I'm not a business coach. Yes, I grew a business, and some of you listening and watching, you actually did grow a business. And you may have the thought, but I'm not sure how to teach someone else to do it. I just kind of made it work. I've got family members who are that way. They've had a business for 30, 40 years, but they'll tell you, I don't know if I could ever tell anyone and show anyone. That's fear. Because, look, when you have a system and when you have a process, that stops and prevents this idea that you got to have it all figured out, which is what I love about, we have CPAs, we have financial planners, we have digital marketing guys, companies. Then we have those who've been in the VP world. They've been in sales management for many years, pastors, ministry leaders. And they're like, I'm not really sure. But when they're given a whole structure to follow, it all changes. And when you have software, when you have the right tools, now you can spend the delta of your time, the majority of your time, in investing into the relationship, adding value and solving problems, which is awesome. So I have a list here on, I'm going to read on what is it costing you to wait? And that may sound for you, and I look back at my own career, my own life, just the days, months, years that I spent in wonder versus action. Because in the wonder, we're waiting for some kind of unicorn to show up to go, oh, now I got it all figured out. Think about when you had, you got married or, you had kids. Like, you're never ready. Like, there's no way, sure, you can go to premarital counseling, you can go take some classes, but until you get a kid and you start, they start aging and growing up, there's no true manual. Yeah, there's some tips and tidbits and conferences or whatever, but at the end of the day, until you're on the battlefield with raising kids, that's when you learn. And oftentimes growing a business is really similar. We don't want to just, pray and spray and just, guess our way through it. We want to learn, but oftentimes we can't learn it until we start to go do it. So what's it costing you? I want you to think about that. Now for you, even when you're done listening to this episode, I want you to pray about that. Like, where is it and what is it costing me? Here are some things. When you wait for perfect, you delay the income God wants to flow through you to bless others. Business coaching is one of those opportunities that, I don't love the term an unlimited potential, but you kind of do, just based upon how many clients you have, what you're going to charge, what types of services you're going to offer, and that's going to differ here and there. But you do have the opportunity to kind of earn what you want to earn. When you wait for perfect, you rob business owners of the wisdom that you already have. One of the cool things that I just feel very blessed, if I'm just being very transparent with you, is that quite frequently, I will have someone who will message me. It could be one of our coaches on our coaching team who say, man, listen, I watched your podcast on XYZ, and that absolutely jumped out to me. Thank you. Now, look, I've spent years working and learning and growing through mistakes, through opportunity, through victory to get to where I've gotten, and I'm just feel like I'm just now starting to get the bike pedaling, right? But what's my point? I'm no more qualified than the man on the moon. But yet God uses me to be able to make an impact on others, and he wants to be able to do the same thing for you. We have to have commerce, right? In this, we live in a fallen world. I think we all know that. And it's been what's the term I'm looking for? It's been set on a huge pedestal, better term, this past week when this is being recorded, when the assassination of 𝗪𝗪𝗁. As if you're a Christ follower and a believer, you see just how fallen it really is. But through the opportunity, we also see how many people are coming to know the Lord. And so in this world that we live, it's never going to be perfect. You're not going to find perfect. But we recognize in our fallen world that we have to have commerce. We have to have resource. That's money. Businesses needed to thrive so they can hire people. Those people need to do their job so they can spend money, get gas, milk, bread, pay taxes, right? So you can be used as a part of the process to help people increase that profitability, because when we have more margin, we have more mission. When businesses are in a spot to be able to have increase of margin, they have an opportunity to give back, whether it's giving back to their churches, ministries, nonprofits, the community, whatever, wherever they feel called and led and drawn, depending upon their lifestyle, to give. And you can be a part of that. And there's nothing greater, in my view. It's just an amazing feeling when you're a part of the process of seeing someone increase their margin for greater growth. Okay? When you wait for perfect, you teach your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors that fear is a valid excuse. You even buy into the fact that fear is a valid excuse. When you wait for perfect, you ignore the faith that it takes. Get ready. You ignore the faith that it takes to move when it's unclear. That line right there, write that on your mirror and repeat it multiple times as you're getting ready every day. Put it on a Post-it note in your car, wherever. Put it on your phone, your lock, the screen, the lock on your screen. You ignore faith that it takes to move when it's unclear. The point is that when we're unclear, now we're through humility, we're saying, Lord, I don't know the next step, but I'm going to yield to you in your plan for my life to show me the next step. That next step may come through a person, could come through a song, it could come through some sign, who knows? But when we don't move, we're saying that we want to have everything lined out perfectly because I have the plan. Now look, let's be very, we have to operate in wisdom. God clearly talks about wisdom consistently throughout the Bible. And so he wants to impart that wisdom for you in your daily life, in your relationships. Doesn't matter what it is, in your business, if you're in business. We have to use wisdom. But there is a point in our entire life, I don't care what the category it is that you're talking about or thinking about, that we pray, we trust, we take a step of faith, and then another step of faith, and so on. And I can tell you personally, if you'd have told me 4 years ago-ish, I'd be where I am doing what I am today, the way I'm doing it, there's like no way. And the ways that we've gotten here, but yes, we have plans. We 10, 3, 1 year plans through pictures and all that stuff that we all use to create goals, to set vision, so on. But most of the things that have come, and as we've grown, have come in extremely unique ways that I did not plan. That's just the step of faith and the Lord blessing that, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe you don't see it that way, but certainly I do. What does starting actually really look like? Well, one, you don't have to build the whole business on day one. I get this question in working with those who are looking at joining our team, and they want to know everything. And we're going to set things in motion in the onboarding process to have a lot of things figured out. But at the end of the day, you cannot have a complete and total plan for the whole business in the very beginning. We want to plan, we want to adjust. Some things will go right, some things will go wrong, and we continue to move forward. You just have to have enough in the beginning to take one faithful step forward. Starting really looks like literally, this is it. Starting in business coaching, rather than trying to stay in like I'll do it when it's perfect, is starting to talk to business owners. That's it. Sure, there's a lot more that goes into it, but nothing matters because we've seen it over the years where coaches on our team, weeks will go by and they're still in training mode. They're still whatever. Yes, we want to train, we want to prepare, we want to plan, all that. We have to. That never stops. We should always be learning. But at the end of the day, until we get out there and start to grow actual relationships, nothing's going to matter. So that's what's required. Building relationships, starting to talk to those who are in and own businesses themselves. You start exploring how you can serve them. Because there's a number of ways to do that. Like in our system, you can one-on-one coach, you can do group coaching, you can use your white labeled online business academy. We have a process that's called flash coaching. Like there's a number of ways that you can interact with them to be able to support them based upon a number of factors, reasons, desires, needs, and so on. What's on the other side? Well, when you move in obedience and you begin to grow and understand and learn, it's clients who resonate with you, your story, income that begins to create margin and opportunity for your family or your dreams, vision, maybe legacy. Maybe you haven't put enough away for your 401k and you need to kind of rapidly do that. We've got a number of people who still work in their 9 to 5 and they're doing this right now, kind of in parallel, having 2 or 3 clients, socking enough money back for the future because they just didn't get started early enough. And ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, it's my opinion, a lifestyle that honors your faith, that honors your values, that honors your gifts, and your time. God did not call us to be overwhelmed, stretched thin, going crazy, whatever. But it happens in our culture. And coaching, again, if you're asking me, gives us the opportunity to solve that because we can create margin. Business coaching is one of the few industries where your margins are around 80 to 90%. Now, some of them, if you're spending a lot more money on just different things, that's your decision to do, but you just don't need to do a lot of that. There's going to be some outliers, but by and large. So in the end, you just got to take a step of faith. You got to move forward. You got to start where you feel called and drawn to do that without feeling like I need to have everything perfect, because I'm telling you right now, that day will never come, ever. God calls the unqualified because he wants you to trust him in the process. Again, if you're interested in learning more about what we do and potentially how we might be able to serve you, you can go to businesscoachmastery.com. Until next time, take care.